A 1968 old daysailor. A lot of people in the sailing community are probably going to hate me after what I'm about to do. I bought this boat originally. It's a boat motor and trailer. I got it for a really good price. I bought it as a fishing boat and a cruising boat. And I fished a lot out of it, cruised a lot out of it. Haven't really sailed a lot out of it. I'm about to do a lot of heavy modifying to it. I'm going to remove all the sailing rigging hardware, remove the coaming, the floor, cut the trunk out. I'm going to raise the sides and the rear about 6 inches taller, and taper it down to about 2 inches tall on the front. I'm going to change the whole profile of this boat. I'm converting the inboard. Right here, it's going to be a 19 horse Briggs bottom shaft driving the lower unit of a 25 Evinrude. That's going to give me forward, neutral, reverse, air cooled with a traditional rudder. And up front, I'm going to build a cabin. It's basically going to be like a miniature version of an Albin 27 family cruiser. I've always wanted one of those boats, just really can't afford it. So I'm going to make do with what I have. Destroying a classic. Gonna get a lot of hate comments, I'm sure. It's gonna be a slow build, time and money. You know, I actually work a regular job, and I have bills to pay like everyone else. I've had plenty of success with my air-cooled outboard. It's a 26 Briggs Intech on top of a Pro 50 Yamaha. My father's been running that motor for 5 years. He trawls during the May and August season for shrimp with that motor alone. It's very fuel efficient and very dependable. So this is the same concept, but instead of an outboard hanging off the transom, it's going to be inboard. I know I would gain a lot more room putting outboard hanging off the transom. I have everything to build outboard. I have a complete 25 Evinrude. It actually runs. I have a 19 Briggs let's throw on top just for the air cooled factor and fuel economy. Very cheap on fuel compared to a 2-stroke outboard. But for years I've been wanting to put a lower unit through the bottom of a hull, sort of like a mud boat. Down here in South Louisiana we have what's called mud boats. It takes a air cooled side shaft engine with a shaft running through the bottom, propeller come out the bottom, and it goes in shallow water. You could ride on mud flats with it. Now I've been wanting to do that, but this purpose of this boat is not going to be riding on mud flats. It's basically going to be a mini trawler. My plans are in 2 years time I want to attempt to do the Great Loop. So I'm going to build the boat I need for my purpose for the Great Loop. Stay tuned. It's going to be a slow build. When I done my Briggs outboard, I didn't do a build on it. There's plenty of builds of how to do it, and everyone's got their own little ways. I just didn't do one on mine. So I think I'm going to do a build video on this one, how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to build a fiberglass box, because this hull is fiberglass. Oh, and one thing I like about the Evinrudes, the 20 through 35, I believe, these shafts are removable. We're just going to make it easy for me to cut the shaft right here, get a keyway put in it. And it was also easy to make a template, the lower unit. I won't be using a water pump, and this lower unit is just for mock-up. I've got a newer one that's in better shape. But again, I won't be using a water pump. I was contemplating utilizing the water pump and having a water-cooled exhaust system. But if I can just go all air-cooled, I'll be happy with that. Anyway, like I was saying, the fiberglass box. I'm going to have to build a fiberglass box. See if I can get this to stand up. All right. I'm gonna have to build a fiberglass box with a flat plate here, and it's gonna drop down to where this fin is gonna be even with the bottom of the boat. And I'm gonna leave a little air gap to where I can access these bolts from the bottom of the boat. And I'm gonna make some fiberglass filler plates to match up to the fin, just so I won't have a open cavity. It's basically gonna be a 3.5 inch deep tunnel inside the bottom of the hull where this lower unit is going to stab in. And this cavitation fin, which everyone who runs outboards knows, this fin needs to be at least even with the bottom of the boat, below the water, so you don't cavitate. I'm going to be well below the boat. Again, I'm going to have so it'll be like a little tunnel. It's going to come up just for this to countersink into the hull. Now that box will be made out of all fiberglass. Now, once I have it designed and test fitted, then it's time to cut the hole in the hull. And then I'm going to have to make, I'm going to go with aluminum, an aluminum plate, the same pattern as the top of this unit. There's a shift rod that goes through right here, so I'm going to have to make a mechanical seal on the shaft and a mechanical seal on the shift rod. And this one has a bent shaft, as you can see it wobble, which really doesn't matter. It's straight down here where it needs to be, but I'm not even using this one. This one's just for mock-up. And as of right now, it's the only propeller I have, and this one has seen better days. This looks like a motor someone left the lower unit down in the water for years. It's all usable, it still works. It's just appealing wise, it's in bad shape with a lot of pitting, but it does everything it's supposed to do. It's going to serve its purpose for mock-up. This one's from 1987. The one I'm putting in is from the 90s. The only difference is the size of this nut and the way it's attached. I have the shift linkage for this particular motor. I do not have the shift linkage for the 90s model I have. So I'm going to have to source one. But yeah, back to the boat. I'm going to be cutting a hole on a perfectly good boat. Before I actually cut the hole and strip everything bare, I'm waiting on Wildlife and Fisheries to get back with me. I mailed them my paperwork with a new application. Instead of sail and outboard, I've clicked just inboard. But I'm trying to decide. I may take the mast of the boat. I may bring the step mast all the way back to the front of the trunk, and I may wind up leaving the trunk. My cabin is going to come out, oh, I don't know, about the right here, about even with the back of the trunk. So that means I'll have a step mast going through the center. I may shorten my factory mast. I believe it's either 21 or 23 feet. I may shorten that down to about 18, 19 feet to where I can still sail a jib only, just to play around with. And of course the mast would fold down, be easily removable. I have all the hardware that would just require me to get some shorter shrouds. So I think it would be pretty cool to play around with the sail every now and then. I'm not sure of the sailing characteristics, how much is going to change by bringing the mast 1.5 feet closer to the point of pivot, which is the centerboard. I don't know a whole lot about sailing. It's just something I've got running through my head that I may or may not do, being I have all the sailing rigging. Another idea is for me to go ahead and try to sell the complete sailing rigging. It's just something I'm tossing up the idea of. I like sailing. I like to have a small sailboat. This boat, I'm inexperienced, and this one is just very fast. I want a slow, comfortable, safe sailboat. This thing really moves. So again, I know I'm gonna have a lot of people not agreeing with cutting up a good sailboat, especially the old day sailor.